Narayanam namaskritam naram chaiva narottamam devim sarasatim vyasam tato jayarayat nashtaprayashu bhadresu nityam bhagavata sevya bhagavati utamashiki bhakti bhavati naistiki nigamakapurugaritam param shukamukaramrita dravisamitam pibata bhagavatam arshamarayam mahorahora sikabhuvi bhagam Krishna sadam upagate dhammagini hikara karonashta dishamasha paranako tunoditam Tom Piadavishuddha Vishadam Vibhu Samyapyadana Vidam Vidutadam Prakyahidaho Mor Aditatmanam Sankleshanavanu Misanti Nanyatam Yakvashadanam Charanam Bhujam Hare Bhajana Pakpapatet Tato Yadhi Kovartaptam Bhajatam Shadarmataham Kovartaptam Bhajatam Shadarmataham Om Ganati Marandasyangarangana Salakya Chaksurun Miritam Yana Tajmai Sri Gurave Namaham Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yana Bhutare Swayam Rupa Karamayam Darati Swaparantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Siyata Parakamaram Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Sta Sri Rupam Sagaratam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Stam Sadevam Sadvaitam Savarutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakan Vitam Stam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutare Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinaming Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachadine Nirvishesa Sunyori Praskata Saradine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Good morning, Rob. Good morning, Barbara, Beta Wolf. Good morning, Jean Eskelson. Good morning, one and all. And as we sit here in faraway Sri Mayapur Dham, the headquarters of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, the funeral services to the great devotee Pankaj Jangri are being performed on the banks of the Ganges. Devotee who served the Panchatattva, Radha Madhava there for over 50 years. It's like an uncle to many devotees from all over the world, gave learned classes on the Chaitanya Charitamrita and Srimad Bhagavatam. I was looking at a video of the Temple of Vedic Understanding under progress, and the section of the temple where the paraphernalia for worshiping the deity are held has already been finished, and they had a walkthrough of it. Vast areas for cooking, cleaning utensils, for storing the deity dresses, for shelving, hanging. Amazing. And it was mentioned that all the designs were done by Pankaj Jangri and his brother Gyanivas. He won't be around to use those facilities, but rather he'll be somewhere else, some higher elevation, worshiping the Lord in either more grand arrangements in the Vaikuntha world, the regal palatial Vaikuntha world, or else he'll be doing something more simple in rustic rural Vrindavan. But we wish him well. We wish him Godspeed. There's a big hole in the lives of devotees in Mayapur, both who live there and who visit there. But we're sure that he's gone to be with Krishna. So it's a cause ultimately for celebration. Goodbye, Pankaj Jangri. Thank you on behalf of all the devotees for your exceptional service for over 50 years to Sri Mayapur Dham and the deities there. Part 6, no less. Verse 11, chapter 5, first canto, Srimad Bhagavatam. We talked about the crow verse 2 or 3 weeks ago. Now we're focusing on the swan verse. Tad bhag vichargo janatagavi parvo yashmin pratishoka vidavati namami tasha yasho nikitani shrivanti ganti grinati sadavaha. On the other hand, as opposed to the crow-like literature, Prabhupada writes that literature which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the fame, name, form, qualities, and activities of the unlimited Supreme Lord is a different creation, full of transcendental words directed towards bringing about a revolution in the impious lives of the world's misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. We asked the question yesterday why men are compelled to commit sinful activities against their best interests. And the answer is we're in the clutches of Maya. And we talked a little bit about how insurmountable is the power and strength of Maya, save and except that Maya herself is a servant of the Supreme Lord, just like the warden of the prison house works for the government. So you can't break yourself out of prison. Very difficult with the high walls of barbed wire and the guards of machine guns. But if the government passes the word down to the prison warden to stop harassing you and to arrange for your release, then very easily your escape from the conditions of the prison house, which are quite horrible, can be brought about. So we can't do anything ourselves. We're in this Pacific Ocean of birth, death, disease, and old age. But if we take shelter of the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord, then he's like a great ocean liner who can not only extract us from the tossing and turning of this endless ocean, but he can give us shelter and buffer us against all the dualities and vicissitudes of living in the material world. And in the course of our discussion, we talked about the need to transfer ourselves from the material energy, the clutches of Maya, under the lap, into the sheltering breast of Krishna. One devotee prayed, "Long did I toil and found no earthly rest. Far did I roam, found no certain home. Till at last I sought them in the Lord's sheltering breast, who opens his arms and bids the weary come. With him I found a home, a rest divine, and I since am his and he is mine. The good I have is from his stores supplied, the ill is only what he deems the best. With him as friend I'm rich with nothing beside, and poor without him, though of all possessed. Changes may come, I take or I resign, content while I am his, and he is mine. Changes may come, but in him no change is seen. He's a glorious sun that wanes not nor declines. He walks above the storms and clouds serene, and on his devotees inward darkness shines. While here at last I know but half his love, but half discern him, and but half adore. But when I meet him in the realms above, I hope to love him fully, praise him more, and show and tell, amid the kirtans divine, how fully I am his, and he is mine." I took a little liberty by putting in kirtans for chorus there. Frances Havergal, the bhakti poetess of Christianity. So although we try to get the dust of forgetfulness, we talked about Paranjana, who, due to his attachment in his previous life to his wife, took his next birth in the body of a wife named Vidarbhi. She got married to a king named Malayavajja. Malayavajja retired, went to the forest to meditate on Krishna, and eventually his body went cold. And at the point when Vidarbhi was alone with the shell of her husband by her in the dark, deep jungle, she felt herself to be desperate and alone, and therefore eligible and qualified to see the super soul within the heart. He appeared before her as a kindly old Brahmin, explained to her that she was neither a woman's body nor a man's body. Natvam Vidarbha Duhita Nayam Vyura Savitaba. You're not Vidarbhi, nor were you the husband of this great king Malayavajja. Natam Vidarbha Duhit Nayam Vyura Napatwistam Padanjana Vrudho Navamaka Yaya. Rather, you are like a swan. You are not this carcass of blood, flesh, mucus, bile, topped by some hairs, and maybe decorated with some mustaches or long hair. Sorry if you're a woman. You're not the body, but you are a swan-like creation of the Supreme Lord, cast away, cast off by your own choice down into this material world. And I have been your well-wishing friend. I've accompanied you since so many lifetimes. But now in your desolate, forlorn condition, you've finally seen me. You're finally receptive to me. So let's take wing now. Not waste any more time lured in this material world. Go back to home, back to Godhead. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada's Guru said, the material world is not a place for a gentleman. Neither is a place to waste time loitering. We should try to curtail our sojourn in this material world as sharply as possible, pull up out of the tailspin, so to speak, and shoot for the next level, ultimately going back to home, back to Godhead, we read about the departure of Archie. She also, like Vidarbhi, found herself in the forest, her husband having left his body. She built the funeral pyre and ascended onto the funeral pyre because she felt that separation from her husband would be more burning than the actual flames themselves. And she rose up and up and up. Her material body was immolated, but in her dazzling, effulgent spiritual form, the demigoddesses from the upper planets could see her rising out of the fire, up from the smoke. Another poem comes to mind. The inner soul continues when the outer body ends, like flame from wood sparks ascending, transcending dark matter, blending with the sky, invisible to the naked eye. You cannot kill, nor can you die. You cannot burn, nor can you fry. The soul cannot be scorched by any blaze. No water can drown the spirit. No wind can make it fade. You cannot cut another, nor can you bleed. Soul is eternal, unborn, a seed, indivisible, indestructible, forever free from birth, death, old age, and disease. Yet howsoever turned or tossed, the soul can never itself exhaust, seated in the heart, beating its drum, powering everyone brighter than the sun. The soul's superior force lives on and runs its endless course in God's unlimited universes. And the demigods, as they saw Archie rise, they were thinking, oh, she lived a very pious, very righteous life. She has a lot of good karma. So she's going to join us here in the heavenly planets. And they opened up their arms as she ascended in their direction. They opened up their arms. They prepared a welcoming celebration. They prepared to welcome someone whom they considered a sister amongst their midst. Imagine their astonishment when Archie came level to them and then just kept going up further and further and further and further. And they looked up. And as they looked, she went out of sight beyond even the upper planets of this material world, back to home, back to Godhead. That's what the super soul wanted for Vidarbhi, who in his last life was Paranjana. There's a super soul within the heart of each and every one of us. Chetragam chapi mamriti sarva cheta shubhara chetra chegnani yattash jnana matamama. And it's in our best interest to waken up to the presence of the super soul, the Lord of millions and millions of universes within our heart, and hitch ourselves to his chariot. If we do that, we'll be able to go to places we couldn't go on our own. And the first step is to acknowledge the Lord by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We're forgetful of our true nature, just as Vidarbhi was in the forest, thinking of herself as a female, thinking of herself as the wife of Malayavaja. Forgetfulness has encrusted the heart like a thick dust, which has been building up for many, many incarnations. And when we chant, Cheto Darpana Marjanam Baba Devagni Nirvapanam, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says this is the process for cleaning the heart, ridding it of the dust of forgetfulness. But we do want to replace it with another kind of dust, just as the dust of forgetfulness on the heart causes us to forget our own spiritual nature and to not take advantage of the Supreme Lord situated alongside of us in the region of our heart, just as that dust keeps us from our ultimate destiny. There's another kind of dust which makes us successful in our spiritual quest, and that is the dust that comes from the lotus feet of pure devotees of the Lord. We quoted Sukadeva Goswami from the second canto yesterday in the Shammatish Tavada Grukamangam Spishiti Anardra Mahiyasham Padarasham Niskinchanam Nana Briti Hadbat. Actually, that was Prahlad Maharaj, and Prahlad Maharaj confirms that unless they smear upon their bodies the dust of the lotus feet of a Vaishnava completely freed from material contaminations, persons very much inclined towards materialistic life cannot be attached to the lotus feet of the Lord, who is glorified for his uncommon activities. Only by becoming Krishna conscious and taking shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord in this way can one become freed of material contamination. One cannot come to the ultimate conclusion. One cannot arrive at one's ultimate destination. One cannot know or please the Lord through philosophical speculation, through yoga, through fruitive works, through austerities. No matter what path you take to pull yourself up unless it's tinged significantly, painted over with bhakti, all other processes in and of themselves will not be successful. Vedashu, Yagashu, Tapashu, Chaiva, Danishu, Yat Punyafadam, Acheti Tat Savamidam, Yogi Param Upayati Chajam. Krishna says to Arjuna that when you take up the process of bhakti, you are not bereft of the results, Yagashu, Danishu, of performing yagyas, of giving in charity, Tapashu, Chaiva, of performing austerities, Vedashu, Yagashu, Tapashu, Danishu, Yat Punya, Phalam, Pradisham, of performing pious activities lifetime after lifetime. You achieve the full-fledged, the full-bodied results of all of those other activities in one fell stroke by accepting the process of devotional service under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. Why this insistence? If you've been listening to us for some time, we pretty much every day talk about the importance of sheltering under the feet of pure devotees. So why do we keep coming back to this point over and over and over again? Simple fact is that Krishna belongs to his pure devotees. He is their property, and they are his property. The greatest devotees of Krishna heard Krishna made this declaration in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam: Naparaya ham nirvajya samyatam shoshad vibhadayo yo mabhajan durjaya shrikara sambrita tava pratyantya shara. Krishna says, because of your selfless, unflinching devotion to me, having held nothing back, I cannot repay you, even in the lifetime of Lord Brahma. God declares himself bankrupt, unable to repay those who unreservedly and unhesitatingly offer themselves in the service of the Lord. God falls down and becomes indebted. We all know, most of us, if we have a credit card, what it's like to be in debt. Your creditors own you. You lose sleep at night thinking, why did you do this? Why did you make those whimsical purchases? Why did you swipe the credit card for items that you didn't need in places that you hadn't anticipated? Why the impulse spending for which you're now tossing and turning in bed and losing sleep now? You are owned lock, stock, and barrel by your creditors if you're injudicious and not disciplined in the use of that little strip of plastic. Similarly, the gopis, Krishna put himself in that position of losing sleep at night, thinking of how he can repay his pure devotees. Imagine the leverage tiny, insignificant living entities like you and me. We have virtually no power, nothing to offer, but if we take our might, if we take what little we have, which was given to us in the first place by God, and we simply close the circuit, receive gifts and abilities, we offer them back to him in loving devotional service, and thus we close the circuit. And Krishna loses sleep at night thinking about how he can protect, how he can elevate, how he can guide his devotees, how he can fill their hearts with life and light and joy. Can you imagine the leverage that we have because of love? And it's not our love. It's the love of those who've gone before us, starting with Srimati Radharani. I was watching last couple nights the excellent videos filmed on behalf of Indradumna Swami during the Vrindavan parikrams in 2015 and 2016. Extremely lyrical, beautiful music, beautiful kirtans. The camera work is astounding. And periodically Indradumna Maharaj gets on and explains about Vrindakund or Manasa Sarovar, Kusham Sarovar, wherever place they're visiting at that point in time. And Chaturatma comes in sometimes Badahari comes in. So they're simply walking in the dust of Vrindavan where so many other devotees have walked before them. That dust is kicked up, it lands on their feet, or they intentionally and consciously take handfuls of that dust from the ground of Vrindavan and put it on their heads. The Lord has declared himself the property of our predecessor acharyas, beginning from Radharani. So it is Radharani's love that makes it possible for us to leverage our position in such a way that the Lord thinks day and night of how to benefit his devotees. When Durvasa Muni attacked Ambarish, you all know this story. Ambarish was fasting for a year, and it was just a moment he was supposed to break his fast when Ambarish, Durvasa appeared with his 10,000 disciples, and he said, "Give me something to eat." So the food that Ambarish was going to eat for the first time in a year, he gave to Durvasa Muni. And while Durvasa Muni was eating lunch, Ambarish thought that if I don't break the fast, then some sin will accrue to me. And so somewhere they have to break the fast, but there was no solid food there. It had all been taken for the reception of Durvasa Muni as disciples. So it is said that when you drink water, it is breaking a fast, and it is not breaking a fast. So Ambarish perfectly innocently took a sip of water to break his fast after a year. And this enraged Durvasa Muni, totally overreacted, took it as a breach of hospitality, accused him of cheating, conjured up a fire weapon, and directed it towards Maharaj Ambarish. The fire weapon was coming to destroy him. Maharaj Ambarish was cool and calm. Subhasabho Paladini Mokshase Sanyasham. Just chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. He didn't lift a finger to defend himself. Devotees let Krishna fight their battles. They don't take things upon themselves. Their business is only to cultivate their unreserved, uninterrupted, unmotivated devotion to Krishna. And then Krishna promises, Tsipram Bhavati Dharma Nasashim Konti Aprati Name Bhakta Pranashati, that he will not allow his devotees to perish. So as you all know the story, then, in counteraction to the fire weapon that Durvasa Muni had launched, came Krishna's Sudarshan chakra out of nowhere. So the fire weapon not only became dissipated, but that Sudarshan chakra took off after Durvasa Muni, who himself was running in fear of his life. He ran to Brahma, he ran to Shiva. They said, "We can't do anything. It's Vishnu that you've offended." And we finally came to Vishnu. He asked Vishnu, "I'm so sorry. Can you call off your Sudarshan chakra?" At that point, Lord Vishnu made this classic declaration, which is a rallying cry for all devotees. Aham bhakta pare yashatanti va sarabhir gasaridir bhaktir jana priyaham. I'm the father of all living beings, and I'm naturally kindly disposed to all of them. However, I am particularly not independent. I am controlled by my devotees. The offense that you made was to my pure devotee. And I do not have the power independently or unilaterally to call off my Sudarshan chakra unless and until my devotee forgives you for that offense. He went on to say, Sadavoti yamayam sadadam riyam maranyat te nabaji naham te byo managapi. Sadavoti yamaham. He says, I am in the hearts of the sadhus. Sadhus think of nobody or nothing but me. And because of that, the sadhus are also in my heart. I think specifically and almost exclusively in my original form as Krishna of the sadhus. We are in each other's heart. There's an extremely intimate connection there. So because Krishna is the property of pure unconditionally devotees, therefore we come back again and again and again to this theme that unless you take the dust of the lotus feet from a pure devotee on your head, you cannot make progress in spiritual advancement. The Lord declares over and over and over again that He's not independent. He's under the control of His devotees who themselves are devoid of material desires. In the hearts of ordinary men, there's all kinds of crud. There's all kinds of litter. garbage-like items. The hearts of most people are not a clean, pristine environment. Krishna says, my devotees are such that they have kicked out all illicit and unclean desires, so that only Krishna, they have made their hearts so clean that Krishna feels just fine coming and sitting right there and taking his place right within the core of their hearts. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made a metaphor of the cleaning of the Gundicha temple, as you all know. Clean the Gundicha temple with such conscientiousness and diligence. It said that the debris and the little bits of dust, cotton, twigs, and whatever that may have settled on the floor and in the cracks of the Gundicha temple, he asked each devotee to make a pile. Sweep them up and make a pile prior to picking them up and taking them out. And Lord Chaitanya's pile was bigger than the piles of all the other devotees combined. The cleaning of the Gundicha temple is also a metaphor for cleaning the hearts. Srinvatam Shrakata Krishnam Punya Sravanam Kirtanam Ridantoshtigabadani Vidunoti Saritsatam. It says, by chanting and hearing under the direction of pure devotees, Vidunoti Saritsatam, any unwanted things, any dirty things become cleared out from the core of the heart. And thus the heart becomes a suitable residence for the Lord. The Lord is always in our heart, but only after we clean our heart and take out the distractions which are caused by attachment to matter and the dust of forgetfulness does the Lord manifest himself, and does the Lord express himself as happy and indebted to those clean-hearted devotees. Prabhupada says, all great stalwart personalities, no matter who you want to name throughout the universe, even the Lokapals, even the universal controllers like Brahma and Shiva, are fully under control of the personality of Godhead. However, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is himself fully under the controls of his devotees. For this very reason, Anya Bilasita Sunyam Jnana Karmari Anavritam Anukulena Krishnana Bhaktir Uttama. The devotees are free of desire for mental speculation or fruitive activities. They only want to serve the Lord. Their thoughts are only to think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, how to love him and to serve him best. There are a few verses from a song, an adaptation of the Bhagavad Gita I may be able to recall at this point in time. Because I create the dual worlds of spirit and flesh, my devotees prioritize my service, keeping their hearts forever fresh. My pure devotees think of me all the time. My pure devotees think of me, speak of me all the time. They follow me, and I am discussing me incessantly. I am theirs, and they are mine. Because they serve with love and never swerve aside from within their hearts, I cause ignorance to subside. The wattage of transcendental knowledge I shine from within so bright, and in deep parental affection guide them to the light. The Lord goes so far as to say that not only is he extremely favorable to his devotees. Think of a cat with a kitten in its mouth. How much love and special attention that kitten feels in the mouth of the cat. Now, Krishna goes so far as to say that not only is he extremely favorable to his devotees, who don't claim to be devotees directly of Krishna, but are devotees of devotees of devotees of devotees of servant of the servant, Naham Vipro Nachana Matir, servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. But he's also favorable to the devotees of the devotees. So we don't have what it takes to approach or to serve Krishna directly. But if we can somehow or other find a place to serve the devotee of the devotee of the devotee of the devotee, then we can have access to the love and the service and protection of Krishna. This is a prerequisite. Narottam Das Thakur's Chadiya Vaishnava Seva Nishtara Payecha Keba. Narottam Das Thakur says, without being a devotee of a devotee, Chadiya Vaishnava Seva, one cannot be released from material entanglement. throughout all the 820 Hare Krishna temples throughout the world. Every morning in the pre-dawn hours, we sing the Guru Ashtakam, the 8 prayers, glorifying the Guru. And the most powerful and the last concluding of those 8 prayers is written by Vishwanath Chakravarti. Yasha Prashada Bhagavat Prashada Yasha Prashadana Gati Kutopi. It says, by the grace of the spiritual master, one, and only by the grace of the spiritual master, one can get the mercy of Krishna. One must have reverence and a service attitude towards all those who have preceded one in the disciplic succession. Here's a story that's narrated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, not exactly that flattering, but one great acharya who's accepted and who has his own line of disciplic succession once approached Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and asked Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to read his commentaries on the Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Chaitanya asked him, so have you taken into consideration the previous commentaries of Baladev Vidyabhasan and Sridhar Swami? This is what one does. One takes advantage of the previous commentaries, insights, and realizations of past acharyas, and then adds one's own might, one's own little bit of realizations to the opus. When Prabhupada crafted his famous Bhaktivedanta purports, he had the commentaries of Sridhar Swami, he had the commentaries of Baladev Vidyabhasan by him, and he took advantage of the knowledge and the realizations passing down since time immemorial. So Lord Chaitanya quite naturally asked this acharya, have you incorporated the commentaries of Sridhar Swami? And this answer was, my commentaries are better than the commentaries of Sridhar. Lord Chaitanya did not like that at all. We incorporate, we fold in the experiences and the declarations of the past acharyas. We're not in competition with them. We're trying, like anything, we're praying intensely to get the dust of the favor of their lotus feet. We're not trying to jump over them like monkeys. Arche Vishnu Siddhir Gurushu Naramatir Vaishnava Jati Gudhi. It is Jati Buddhi, it is a hellish intelligence to think of any Vaishnava in an ordinary way, what to speak of the great commentators on the Srimad Bhagavatam, like Baladev Vidyabhasan or Sridhar Swami. And so when Lord Chaitanya heard this, he took the word Sridhar, which has another meaning, to mean prostitute. So he said, okay, so you're like a man then that doesn't care for his husband, but you go after a prostitute. So why should I listen to a commentary that's been penned by someone who has this prostituted mentality? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was indicating our loyalty, our fidelity is to the previous acharyas. We don't jump over them, we don't disregard them, we don't bypass them, we serve them. Gopi Bharta Pada Kamadar Das and Das and Das and Das. Oh, there was this insult which has actually become quite controversial between the followers of that sampradaya and our followers. They dispute that ever happened. But the point that is being made by Krishnadas Kaviraj and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is that we take what we've given from the previous acharyas. If there's going to be innovation, it's in a 10% sliver. I remember reading an article by what was his name? The famous Christopher Wren. He was a famous architect, built many classic buildings, which are studied by other architects. It's the basis of many modern courses on architecture to study the innovative techniques that were employed by Christopher Wren. And Christopher Wren himself, I think it was Christopher Wren, wrote a treatise on his own architecture. And he said that to be innovative in architecture is to only play around with about 5%. He says you cannot compromise on 95%. Structurally, from an engineering point of view, you have to accept, you have to pretty much swallow wholesale what you've learned from the past. Otherwise, your building will not have the integrity that it needs to have to safely support its residents. So, although Christopher Wren was known as one of the most innovative architects, he said, my innovation takes place only within 5 or at most 10% of the overall design. That you have to preserve, you have to pass down 95% of what you've learned and then innovate only 5%. So similarly, you read Bhaktivedanta purports. There, as well as being Bhaktivedanta purports, there's Sridhar Swami purports, there are Baladev Vidyabhushan purports. What you're getting is the full benefit, the full treasure house of knowledge and realization from generations and generations and generations of realized devotees who themselves at this very moment are residing in the groves of Vrindavan, engaged in Nikunjayuno Radhikari Siddha Yayala Bijo, engaged in arranging various tasteful pastimes for the pleasure of Radha and Krishna. Now, Radha, it's to be mentioned, is the worship entity in Vrindavan, more so than Krishna. When I was watching these beautifully filmed videos of Indradumna Swami and 300 or 400 of his disciples every year in Vrindavan Parikram, 2015, 2016, everybody who passed him on the road said Jai Radhe. Nobody said Hare Krishna. They all said Jai Radhe, and the response was Jai Radhe. Radhe is more worshipable in Krishna's holy dham than Krishna himself. And why is that? Radha is the tender-hearted counterpart of Krishna. Think of what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. Yesham tu antigatam bhavam jnanam punya te dondom vajanti mamdita. Those who have been free from sin for many, many lifetimes and who have strictly, rigidly, unwaveringly followed vows of celibacy and austerity, those and those only can attain the shelter of my lotus feet. Kind of leaves us out, doesn't it? There's not much wiggle room there. Krishna gives the qualifications for being a pure devotee, the qualifications for attaining shelter, and that's not anything that we could qualify for. But fortunately, Krishna expanded himself into his tender-hearted counterpart, his feminine, tender-hearted counterpart of Srimati Radharani. And whereas Krishna is more or less, this is it, black or white, Radharani is like, full of mercy, full of grace. She wants everyone to join her. The more the merrier, the more servants she has, the more assistants she has, the more tasteful arrangements she can make, festivals, nice arrangements of the flowers and trees and grasses, flower garlands, musical offerings, dance selections, beautiful cooked items. All these things are going on eternally in the spiritual world. And Radharani is ever increasingly desirous of expanding her service to Krishna through her manjaris, through her servants. And so, because of that need, she accepts those even who are not qualified. I can kind of relate to this in Utah. We came to Utah 35 years ago, and we wanted to build a beautiful temple, and Krishna blessed us to build not one, but 2 beautiful temples. We have a radio station, do a huge festival of colors every year, the biggest in North America. And still after 35 years, it's like we're shorthanded. We're doing almost everything ourselves. We didn't get the help, the devotees on board that we had anticipated. And so we've always been shorthanded, and we remain to be shorthanded. I'm going into the kitchen right after this to cook. So as I've said many times, I won't be able to reply to your comments until later on. And it's okay, because we love all aspects of devotional service. We love to be fully engaged. But we're getting on in years, and so we can't help but think about who will succeed us. And right now, there's a big goose egg as an answer to that question. And what we've had to do throughout the ages is compromise, is really dummy down our standards. Beggars can't be choosers. And so when you're always so hard pressed for help and assistance, you don't have the luxury of being able to pick and choose and take the most qualified people. We've pretty much accepted anybody who's been willing to come, and we've been anyway. We won't go there, but I know what it feels like to need more help than you have, to have greater dreams and greater ambitions than you in your optimal years and you and your wife can fulfill. Those dreams, those ambitions don't go away when your strength and your vigor wanes, but you simply look to other people to carry on and even expand the tradition. That will be your success, not just establishing the yatra, but seeing that it's well maintained and that it even continues to increase and augment after you're gone. So I know what it's like to need more personnel, to want more manpower, to mount bigger and bigger programs, and to be more of an influence in the world, and to be frustrated in terms of not having that availability. Devotees mass up in Alatra, and they mass up in various places. If there's a devotee that I haven't heard about for 20 or 30 years, saying, well, I haven't heard anything about so-and-so and such and such. He used to be such an active preacher. His name used to come up every week in the book distribution. He was temple president in Chicago here and there. Whatever happened to him? Oh, he's in Alatra, or he's in Vrindavan, or he's in Mayapur. And that's all well and good. These are holy dhams, but don't forget, Prabhupada left the holy dhams at the age of 70. And if he hadn't done that, we wouldn't be in the fortunate position that we are today. So all this translates to the fact that even though by our birth and by our early activities, by our parentage, we are outside of even the possibility of eligibility for performing devotional service, because of the tender-hearted feminine counterpart of Krishna in the form of Srimati Radharani, she has dummied down her standards in order to accept our feeble service so that she can more gorgeously offer the Lord wonderful, wonderful festivals, wonderful foodstuffs, wonderful performing arts offerings and service. Prabhupada says the conclusion, therefore, is, and we'll end wherever Prabhupada concludes. I think we can also do that. Don't you agree? Prabhupada said the conclusion of all this is, therefore, that one should be more serious about seeking the mercy of the devotee than that of the Lord directly. And by one's doing so, by the goodwill of the devotees headed up by Srimati Radharani, the natural attraction for the service of the Lord will be revived. Om Tat Sat. We can't do any better than the conclusion of Srila Prabhupada. So we'll wind up our discussion this morning on that note. See if I can see here. This Facebook look is just so different, and every day it seems to do something different. But I can see Sundari Priya here. Thank you so much. Anjali, look forward to having our chat day after tomorrow. Natasha, thank you so much. Good morning, Natasha. Hare Krishna. Jean was on right from the very beginning. The first one to comment this morning was Barbara Veda Wolf. And scrolling down here, Govinda Dev, pranams, obeisances at the feet of Govinda Dev. He says, Hare Krishna Vaishnava Shukshma. Where are you today? Every day she watches us from a different city. She says she's watching the amazing procession and last rites of Panchagandri on Mayapur TV for the last hour or so. Why don't you catch it also? Catch the respect and love and desolation that we all feel at sending off Panchagandri to his next level of service. Ram Kishore Das, Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. Hare Krishna. Ram Kishore says, no promise of tomorrow. Chant Hare Krishna today before it's too late. That's true. Marsh Prika got 7-day notice, but we may not even get 7 seconds or 7 nanoseconds. So cling to the holy name of the Lord. Cling to the shelter of the lotus feet of the pure devotees. Rakesh, thanks so much for joining us. Good morning, Hare Krishna. Shukshma again, it's nice how you frequently quote the ancients of other cultures and or prolific Christians of past and present. Adds another interesting dimension to these talks. And it should, because bhakti is universal. The validity of any other religious tradition, Muslimism, Hinduism, Jain, Parsi, the validity rests upon this principle. It revolves around this principle, which is so nicely expressed by Lord Jesus Christ. Love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and all thy soul and all thy mind. I see Prashant's name, Pradyumna Ryan's, popping up here. I don't know if he's given us links to the quotes from today, and perhaps that'll become evident as we scroll down. Raleigh Walter, thank you, Raleigh, for all that you do, you and Indra, to make Govinda's Buffet in Spanish Fork, Utah, the best and most economical and healthy eating place in all of Utah County. Bhakti Gary, thank you very much. I'm going to send you a couple M3s today. See what you can do for them. Appreciate it. Govinda Dave, Bhakti Gary, Prakash. Yes, Prakash is right there with all the quotes. All right, thank you for that service. By Bobby, devotees' feet are like lotuses. Yes, that's what we're saying. Great description of credit card indulgence. Thanks, Sukshma. Prashant, Nesham Matish Tavarukraman, Sprishidi and Underpagarat, Mahiyasham Pararusham, Niskinchanam Nan and Ritin, Humbaktafara. Prashant's gotten just about every quote in there. If you like learning verses, and I highly recommend it, just grab some of these verses. They've sustained me throughout 50 years of devotional service. I recommend them to you also. Thanks to the intercession of Pradyumna Narayan or Prashant. Subhadra, thanks for your consistency and steadiness day after day. Hare Krishna. Yeah, Prashant, just one after another. Parameshwari, a new joinee. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, thanks very much for jumping on board. Bye, Bobby. Yes, everybody's seen very devotional, very auspicious. Everyone go to Mayapur TV and watch the send-off rites for the great devotee Pancha Janri. Natasha will catch you later. Okay, a lot of comments. I'm just scrolling down here more and more. Britta, thanks so much for joining us. And it's impossible for me to discern with this new configuration who liked, but don't let that stop you from liking. Don't let that stop you from commenting. Please do so profusely, and I will get back to you later on in the day on your comments. And also consider patron if you're not already donating. Consider donating also. There's a big fundraiser now to help the devotees in India who are suffering along with the general population from COVID. If you're on those mailing lists, you've gotten an appeal this morning. You can contact me. I'll forward a copy of it. Place to send funds and donations so that oxygen and supplies will be available for those devotees who are now suffering from COVID so that they may survive and continue to perform their devotional service. It is a fact that Pancha Janri got the very best of care. He had a team of doctors, but not every devotee has that good fortune. Some devotees, like people in general, are going to be hard-pressed to even get the oxygen they need. And so Mayapur is giving a call of distress out there from the Holy Dham, those devotees who would like to earmark some sort of funds to go towards oxygen and medicines for those devotees, many of whom have fallen ill due to COVID. Please do so. And once again, I want to appeal for the devotees in the Western countries. Don't neglect your good fortune. We have the vaccine. 50% of the population is vaccinated. We need everybody to get vaccinated. It's very important. You can't be aloof, or you can't have a wait-and-see attitude and expect this pandemic to go away. If you sit on the fence or sit on the sidelines and we have a significant number of the population that passes on getting vaccinated, then new variants can appear. And then we could lose ground and go back to where we were. Just remember how confident and how cocky India was just 6 weeks ago. So don't, due to overconfidence and cockiness, presume not to get vaccinated right now. Believe me, my words may be very prophetic. You will regret it, and those who interact with you will regret it. If you should pass on getting the vaccination, what that might mean collectively is that we relapse, we become susceptible to another variant, another surge, and all the advances of the last 2 years can be undone. And I don't want that, because I had to cancel 12 festivals in the last 2 years, and I'm just on the verge of going back to the festivals. So I don't want your omission of behavior to be the cause for me to cancel another 2 years of festivals. So collectively, we need to pull together. We need to go ahead and get vaccinated, not have a wait-and-see attitude. That could be totally disastrous. Also consider that this human form of life is a rare and valuable gift. You should not be cavalier about protecting this human form of life. If the vaccination is guaranteed to keep you out of the hospital, if it's guaranteed to keep you from dying, then you have a duty to your spiritual master. And all the spiritual masters have been vaccinated. Every one of them has written an article, why vaccination is right for me. So we have a duty to go ahead and get vaccinated to protect ourselves from getting the disease, having serious complications, and maybe even die. So I hope that we're getting through to people here now. Don't be marginal. Go ahead and do it. It's perfectly safe. The results are absolutely amazing. And we owe it to our spiritual master to give ourselves another 40, 50, 60 years of service on the lotus feet of the Lord and under the dust of the feet of the pure devotees. Well, that's enough said, hopefully. Thank you so much for being with us today on Transcendental Tuesday. As every day, we will answer your comments later on in the day as the dust of service settles. But in the meantime, please join me now, and don't forget throughout the day to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.